Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so we all kind of know that orthodontic brackets, those little squares, help straighten teeth. But have you ever really thought about the sheer amount of engineering packed into them? It's pretty amazing. Today we're diving into that. We're looking at their history, how they evolved, and the complex choices orthodontists make. We've got some great material looking at things like standard slot sizes and these things called bracket prescriptions. Our mission, really uncover the why behind these tiny, crucial components. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So at their core, brackets are the interface, right? They grab onto the tooth and hold the arch wire. And it's the arch wire that provides the force to actually move the teeth where they need to go.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always so sophisticated.
Right, I bet. What were the early days like?
Really basic, actually. Think back to pioneers like Dr. Edward Angle and his Edgewise system. The brackets were essentially just simple wings with a slot cut into them. They didn't have any built-in information. All the movement, the torque, the tip, the rotation, it all had to come from the orthodontist meticulously bending the wire. It demanded incredible skill and, frankly, a lot of chair time. Very labor-intensive.
Wow, okay. Sounds like you really needed to be an artist as much as a doctor back then.
Yeah.
But then things changed. You mentioned Dr. Lawrence Andrews before, the straight wire technique. That sounds important.
Oh, it was revolutionary. Absolutely game-changing. Dr. Andrews, he studied hundreds, maybe thousands of successfully treated cases. He figured out what he considered the ideal final position for every single tooth, the ideal angulation, the ideal torque, and then this is the genius part. He designed brackets that had that information built in. Pre-programmed, you could say. So the bracket for, say, an upper canine would already have the average ideal tip and torque designed into its slot geometry.
Whoa, so the bracket itself starts doing some of the work that previously required all that wire bending.
Exactly. It massively reduced the need for those complex, repetitive wire bends, made treatment way more efficient.
Okay, so Andrews creates this blueprint. Did everyone just switch over, or did people start tweaking it? Is that where prescriptions come in?
That's precisely it. Andrews provided the foundation, but different practitioners had their own ideas, their own clinical philosophies about the best way teeth should align or how forces should be applied. So they started creating variations on that built-in information. These variations, the specific set of angles and torques for a full set of brackets, that's what we call a prescription. Think of it like a recipe reflecting a particular baker's style. An orthodontist chooses a prescription that matches their treatment philosophy.
Interesting analogy. Can you give some examples? Are there famous ones?
Oh, definitely. You hear names like the Roth prescription, that one really emphasizes, how the teeth bite together, the occlusion and function. Then there's MBT, that stands for McLaughlin, Bennett, and Trevisi. Their focus is more on specific mechanics and managing force levels during treatment. You also have things like tip edge, which uses a different mechanical approach altogether, designed for early tipping movements and then uprighting later. And honestly, there are dozens more. Often they're associated with specific well-known orthodontists, key opinion leaders or KOLs who teach their techniques.
Okay, so you have the prescription, the built-in angles. What else is key in the bracket design itself? You mentioned slot size earlier.
Yeah, slot size is fundamental. It's literally the size of the rectangular slot that the arch wire fits into. And globally, there are really just two main standards that dominate everything, the 0.018-inch slot and the 0.022-inch slot. Sometimes you'll see them written out fully, like 0.018 by 0.025 inches or 0.02 by 0.028 inches, but everyone just says 018 or 022. Other sizes exist historically, but these two are pretty much universal now.
And why choose one over the other? Does it make a big difference?
It does, yeah. It affects the play or slot between the wire and the slot, especially with finishing wires. A smaller slot, the 0.018, generally uses smaller wires and might offer, some argue, finer control or lower forces initially. The larger 0.022 slot allows for stiffer, larger wires later in treatment, which some doctors prefer for, say, torque control or sliding mechanics. But honestly, an orthodontist's choice of both prescription and slot size is usually a really strong preference. It's almost always tied directly to where they trained and the system they learned and trust. They typically stick with one combination throughout their career.
Right, it becomes part of their whole treatment system, their philosophy. So, wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for, someone interacting in this field, or even just a curious patient?
I think the key thing is realizing just how much thought goes into these tiny components. It's not just a generic bracket. When you understand that orthodontists choose specific prescriptions and slot sizes based on deeply held clinical philosophies, it changes the conversation. Asking about their preferred system isn't just like, trivia. It shows you understand that their choice reflects a specific approach to care. It's about respecting their methodology.
So it's about understanding the why behind their choice, not just the what. It shows you get that it's a tailored approach.
Exactly. It builds credibility and shows you appreciate the science and the art behind the smile they're creating.
That's a great way to put it. So orthodontic brackets, far more complex, with a richer history and more personalized philosophy baked in than most of us probably ever realized.
Absolutely. So the next time you see braces, maybe pause for a second. Consider those little brackets aren't just holding a wire. They're embodying decades of innovation and a very specific, tailored plan for that individual smile. It's quite something.